So for my educational lesson for 304, I'm going to be teaching Ryan. He is a 3 going on 4-year-old. He is a bilingual student. He speaks primarily Korean at home, and then he's learning English through school. I'm going to help Ryan with his numbers today, learning numbers, what they look like, and then symbolically representing them in groups or shapes or forms. So Ryan, being a 3-year-old, is starting off in Erickson's psychosocial stage 3, meaning he's trying to gain control through his social interactions. He's trying to assert and be more assertive in his area. So I'm going to help him by helping him learn his numbers so that when he's in his preschool, he'll be able to be with the rest of the students and not feel like he's behind, which will help him feel less learned helplessness because he'll be able to not feel like he's being excluded and not understanding, and he'll be able to keep up with the rest of the people in his class. Talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, first of all, being in the bottom level, he does know me, which will help create a better environment that he's living in. I'll make sure that he does have a snack. We will try to do this in the afternoon, so I'll make sure that he's fed and have a snack, and I'm going to do this in my apartment, which he is familiar with, which will help out with safety. Being in safety, making sure the apartment is free of anything that could potentially cause a distraction or danger to him would be a primary concern, and the fact that he does know me and I will have his aunt with me helping me out just in case, so it's one more familiar face. Socially, the fact that his aunt will be there, he will be able to feel some sort of comfortable atmosphere and helping with self-esteem. I'm going to try my best to not just tell him good job, but to tell him good job with a reason. So saying nice job forming those numbers, or giving him some sort of reason as to why he did a good job will help him with his self-esteem and being able to connect that with something that he did right. Talking about Piaget, he is in the pre-operational stage, so he is learning how to connect symbols with real things and using his imagination. So connecting symbols, I'm going to give him a number and then represent it in an apple on a tree and put him in groups, so we'll be able to see the actual number, what it looks like in its form, and then symbolically represent that in a group. He'll be able to use his imagination because I'm going to let him pick Play-Doh colors, which might necessarily be what an apple looks like, or the color of an apple, but he'll be able to see it and imagine that's what an actual tree looks like. He's going to start out in equilibrium because he does know some sort of numbers, but I'm going to give him a new situation and grouping those numbers in a symbolic form, taking them from just 1 to 1 apple or 2 to 2 apples. This will probably create some sort of disequilibrium and will create hopefully not too much confusion, keeping him in that proximal zone of development so that he's not too confused for too long and able to make the connection between the number and what it's symbolically represented in groups. That will be able to help him accommodate to taking that same information and assimilating it back up into other forms of groups. If I give him a group of something else, he'll be able to tell me how many numbers are in that group, taking him through the whole cycle. So Ryan is a little boy who is very hyperactive, and talking about how to teach him as compared to a girl, letting him choose colors in Play-Doh. He'll generally choose cooler colors, blacks or blues or browns, and letting him choose colors regardless of what an apple actually looks like, which is red, and making sure that I'm clear with directions, because generally boys tend to be able to not hear as well as girls at that age. I need to make sure that I am very clear in my directions and instructions and possibly go over them multiple times, making sure that he understands how to do each part of our instruction. This also connects to using left and right brains, because left is going to be very analytical, using numbers and symbols, which is part of the left brain, and then the right brain is going to have him be creative. He's able to choose colors, make different shapes with the Play-Doh, and being able to allow him to use both and come to a connection between symbols and numbers. I will also be using the three different thinking hats. I'll be using yellow in optimism and telling him good job, but giving him a reason for good job and letting him kind of play out. If he doesn't do it exactly right, I can give him constructive criticism and telling him to maybe form it a little bit neater or nicer I will be using a green hat, which is creativity, allowing him to choose and play with Play-Doh, and giving him a 3D abstract way of doing something instead of just looking at numbers and shapes. And then white would be the fact that it's logical, it's facts, it's numbers, and they're not necessarily an abstract ideal. We're simply using the numbers 1 through 5. So I'm going to scaffold him in my lesson. So these are my maps that I've created. So here he has the number, which he will outline in Play-Doh, and I will start off by showing him and directing him in my words on how to form a Play-Doh to outlining and staying within the outline so that he can see what a number 2 looks like. And then we will be able to form little balls that represent apples and stick the amount of 2 in on the tree so that he'll be able to see what the number looks like and what it potentially looks like in a group without symbolically connecting the 2. So first I'll show and tell him, walking him through the directions, and then for if I start that out with number 1, then I'll help him by just talking to him and helping him form a number 2, but not actually showing it with my hands and having him form it on his own. And then I'll have him do number 3 and 4 and 5 all on his own, forming the numbers, with me still watching over, making sure that he does it correctly. And then after we've formed each of the numbers and put it with the correct amount of apples or shapes on the tree, then I'm going to give him a group of shapes, generally rolling a ball in different groups, giving him 3 and making sure that he can understand that it actually is like a group of 3 apples as opposed to 2 apples or 1 apple. So that by the end of it, he'll go from knowing what the number looks like to how many is in a group to being able to recognize the group all on its own. So through this whole lesson, I'm hoping that Ryan will be able to see what a number looks like and then what that number correlates to in a group setting.